51, Krishna, 52, Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. I'll read a couple of sentences, so bring up to the speed, and then we will continue. There were thousands of wives of respectable Brahmana present, and these women were all dressed very nicely with suitable ornaments. And they presented Rukmini with flower garlands, sandalwood bulb, and a variety of colorful garments to assist her in worshipping Lord Shiva and the goddess Durga. This is what we will be doing in case, by the mercy of Vaishnavas and Krishna, when we go to Goloka Vrindavan, we will assist those who show the divine call. That would be our duty. Some of these ladies were very old and knew perfectly well how to chant prayers to the goddess Durga and Lord Shiva because of the constant practice throughout their life. So followed by Rukmini and others, they led these prayers before the deity. So when we see the deity, we should have our own prayer. So we will continue now. Rukmini offered her prayers to the deity by saying, listen this prayer. My dear goddess Durga, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you as well as to your children. The goddess Durga has 4 famous children, 2 daughters, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi and goddess of learning Saraswati, and 2 famous sons, Lord Ganesh and Lord Kartikeya. They are all considered to be demigods and goddesses. Since the goddess Durga is always worshipped along with her famous children, Rukmini specifically offered her respectful obeisances to the deity in that way. However, her prayers were little different. Ordinary people pray to the goddess Durga for material wealth, fame, profit, strength, and so on. But Rukmini, however, desired to have Krishna for her husband and therefore prayed to the deity to be pleased upon her and bless her. Since she desired only Krishna, her worship of the demigod is not condemned. This is the lesson. While Rukmini was praying, a variety of items were presented before the deities, chief of which were water, different kinds of flames, incense stick, garments, garlands, and various foodstuffs prepared with ghee, such as puri and kachoris. There were also fruits, sugarcane, betel nuts, and spices offered. With great devotion, Rukmini offered them to the deity according to the regulatory principle directed by the old Brahmana ladies. And after this ritualistic ceremony, the ladies offered the remnants of the foodstuff to Rukmini as prasadam, which she accepted with great respect. Then Rukmini offered her obeisances to the ladies and to the goddess Durga. After the business of deity worship was finished, Rukmini caught hold of the hand of one of her girlfriends and then left the temple, accompanied by other women. So this is a wonderful picture. Rukmini was praying to Krishna for the life of her brother, Rukmini. And then Kalyavan burned into ashes within a moment in that cave. Remember, wonderful pastime? And the cook found a nice berry within the belly of a fish. So we will continue. All the princess and visitor who came to Kundina for the marriage were assembled outside the temple to see Rukmini. And the princess were especially very eager to see her because they all actually thought that they would have Rukmini as their wife. Struck with wonder upon seeing Rukmini, they thought that she was specially manufactured by the Creator to bewilder all the great princes. Her body was well constructed, the middle portion being thin. She had green eyes, pink lips, and a beautiful face, which was enhanced by her scattered hair and by different kind of earrings. Around her feet, she wore jewel lockets. The bodily luster and beauty of Rukmini appeared as if painted by an artist perfectly, presenting beauty following the descriptions of the great poets. The breast of Rukmini is described as being a little bit high, indicating that she was just a youth, not more than 13 or 14-year-old. Her beauty was specifically intended to attract the attention of Krishna. Although the princess gazed upon her beautiful feature, she was not at all proud. Her eyes moved restlessly, and when she smiled very simply, like an innocent girl, her teeth appeared just like lotus flowers. Expecting Krishna to take her away at any moment, she proceeded very slowly toward her house. Her legs moved just like a full-grown swan, and her ankle bells tinkled very mildly. As already explained, the great princesses who assembled there were so overwhelmed by Rukmini's beauty that they almost became unconscious. Full of lust, they hopelessly desired Rukmini's hand, comparing their own beauty with hers. Srimati Rukmini, however, was not interested in any of them. In her heart, she was simply expecting Krishna to come and carry her away. As she was adjusting the ornament on her left hand finger, she happened to look upon the princess and suddenly saw that Krishna was present among them. Although Rukmini had never before seen Krishna, she was always thinking of him. Thus, she had no difficulty in recognizing him amongst the princely order. Krishna, on the other side, not being concerned with the other princess, immediately took the opportunity of placing Rukmini on his chariot, marked by a flag bearing an image of Garuda. He then proceeded slowly, without any fear, taking away Rukmini exactly as the lion takes the deer from the midst of the jackals. Meanwhile, Balram appeared on the scene with the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. Jarasandha, who had many times experienced defeat by Krishna, began to roar, "How is this? Krishna is taking Rukmini away from us without any opposition. What is the use in our being fighters with arrows? My dear princess, just look. We are losing our reputation by this action. It is just like the jackal taking away the booty from the lion. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 52nd chapter of Krishna. Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. So we'll be starting the chapter number 53. Krishna defeats. Oh, I forgot. Today is the most auspicious day. Let's spend little time. Is the appearance of Sita Devi, consort of Lord Ramchandra. Also the appearance day of Jahanma Mataji, wife of Nityanand Prabhu. And also the intimate associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His disappearance day, Madhu Pandit Prabhu. So it would be nice to just glorify at least one. We will go and dwell in the life of Madhu Pandit Prabhu. So there is no mention of Madhu Pandit in Chaitanya Charitamrita. As we see so many great souls, when Krishnadas Kaviraj wanted to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he consulted many senior Vaishnavas. And their condition was that they have seen by their own eyes, witnessed the wonderful pastime of Lord Chaitanya, provided that they never mention the name in that Chaitanya Charitamrita, how humble they were. This is the quality we need to imbibe. We know something and we just become puffed up. Oh Srinivas, what more can I say? The Lord reveals himself to his pure devotee, who then preaches his glories to the world. Who can describe their incomprehensible activities by which the Lord becomes subservient to their love? Thus did Sri Vajendra Kumar reveal himself to Paramanand Bhattacharya and Sri Madhu Pandit, who is the abode of many wonderful qualities. Thus has Sri Gopinathji, who is an ocean of mercy and whose spot on the enchantingly beautiful banks of Pansipat become manifested by the grace of Sri Madhu Pandit. So this is another self-manifested deity, Gopinathji, by the love of Madhu Pandit Prabhu. Thus Sri Madhu Pandit became the servant of Sri Gopinath, whose bodily luster steals away the minds of everyone. Hundreds and thousands of people came running to see him, famed as he is as sweetness personified. And when the soothing sweetness and coolness of his charming form entered their hearts through their eyes, they found that the burning fire of material existence, which had previously been burning there, was now extinguished. So when we see the deities in the temple, we should experience that there is no anxiety in our life. If we keep Krishna in our life side by side, what is the question of any anxiety or the fear? So Paramanand Bhattacharya and Madhu Pandit, they were disciples of Gadadhar Pandit, one of the most intimate devotee of Lord Chaitanya, none different than appeared as in Krishna Lila Srimati Radharani. So Madhu Pandit would read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And as we heard before in the pastimes of Gadadhar Pandit, that when he was reciting or giving the Bhagavatam class, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always makes sure that he attend that class. So disciplic succession carry the mood. So Madhu Pandit also carry the mood of Gadadhar Pandit, which is non-different than Srimati Radharani. So the deity of Gopinath was discovered at Vansivat by Parmanand Bhattacharya, who entrusted the deity's worship to Madhu Pandit. And on the altar in this temple are deities of Gopinath, Srimati Radharani, and her sister Ananga Manjari. Ananga Manjari is also, as today is the appearance day of Jahanwa Mataji, that in Krishna Lila, she was also Anang Manjari, the younger sister of Srimati Radharani. Haribol. So very auspicious day today. So Madhu Pandit arranged to have this temple built. Vajranabha, the great grandson of Krishna, originally installed Gopinathji in Vrindavan. He installed many deities in Braj. When the Muslim raided Vrindavan in 1670, the original Gopinath deity was taken to Jaipur. And the Gopinath deity in Jaipur is said to exactly resemble Lord Krishna from the shoulder to the west. There is a story about this temple that Srimati Jahanwa Devi, the wife of Nityananda, who appeared also today, came to Vrindavan. And she came to evening Aarti at the Radha Gopinath temple. What happened? Suddenly, Gopinath jumped off the altar and took Jahana Devi onto the altar and closed the curtains. Haribol. What a great love she must have in her heart for Krishna. And when the assembled Vaishnavas opened the curtain, Jahana Devi was gone and Gopinath was standing on the altar. Wonderful, beautiful pastime. We have no understanding or to comprehend those pastimes unless we become purified. Later, the deity of Ananga Manjari, the younger sister of Radharani, was installed on the altar here. And Jahana Devi is Ananga Manjari in Krishna's pastimes. Normally, Radharani is the left of Sri Krishna, as we've seen in all the temple. Always Radharani is on the left hand of Krishna. But in this temple, Radharani is on the right side of Krishna. And Ananga Manjari, which is no different than our Jahanvi Mataji, is placed on the left. And the deities of Lalita and Visakha are also on the altar, along with the deity of Lord Chaitanya. Sri Sri Rayasila Shekhawat, who was given a large amount of land by Akbar for defeating the Afghans, built the original Gopinath temple, Haribol. It is believed that this temple may have been built before the Govindji and Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan. So this temple was broken and defiled by Aurangzeb's soldiers. Sri Nanda Kumar Bose of Bengal constructed a new temple for Gopinathji. In Srila Gopinath, who originated in the transcendental mellow of the Rasa dance, stand on the shore in Vansivat and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us and their benedictions so we can get their mercy. We should also dwell on a little bit about the life of Jahanvi Mataji. We need her blessings to get the blessings of Nityanand Prabhu. So clouds and dust are carried by air. But the less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dusty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self. It is confirmed herein that we cannot see the Lord until our eyes are anointed with the love of God. Only we will see deity made of the stone or wood or whatever metal. The deities are all spirit. With our material eyes and senses, how can we see the transcendental body of Krishna? So we look outward, covering, and cannot detect the spiritual spark within the body. Those who wants to see the Lord with material senses need to meditate on the Virat Rupa of Krishna, the bluish tint of the sky, and the sky itself are different in that we conceive the color of the sky as blue. We will be discussing the glories of Jahanva Devi. She is the Acharya of all the Acharyas. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instruction to Nityanand Prabhu on Krishna consciousness, that we should always be chanting holy name, whatever state we are in. Stay in association with Vaishnavas and avoid association with materialistic persons. Mahaprabhu also instructed Nityanand Prabhu that whatever it takes to spread holy name, we should do. And during that time, Jahanva Devi came into the life of Nityanand Prabhu. Surya Das from Saligram village was thinking about the marriage of his two beautiful daughters. When Surya Das went to sleep at night, he dreamt that Nityanand Prabhu was sitting with Jahanva Devi on his left side and Vasudha Devi sitting on his right. The whole night he sees the marriage of Nityanand Prabhu with his two daughters. When he wakes up in the morning, he sent the Brahman to Shiva's Thakur's place, where Nityanand Prabhu was staying. Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, and everyone else got so happy as this was the most appropriate marriage proposal for Nityanand Prabhu. And when Nityanand Prabhu saw the happiness of all the Vaishnavas, then he accepted this proposal. So this is a divine marriage of Nityanand Prabhu. Everyone performed Sankirtan during the marriage, and there was constant chanting of the holy name during the marriage. Hari Bol, that shows how the marriage should be conducted. And after the marriage, Nityanand Prabhu first of all went to meet Sachi Mata with Jahanva and Vasudha. Sachi Mata became extremely happy and excited. Then they all went to Shantipur. After a few months, Vasudha Devi gave birth to Virbhadra, incarnation of Vishnu, and Ganga Devi, incarnation of Mother Ganga. Vasudha and Jahanva used to fully assist Nityanand Prabhu in all the preaching activities and were constantly not supporting but encouraging. This is what our wives should do. So later when Vasudha Devi left, Vibhadra and Ganga Devi took shelter from Jahanma Devi. Jahanma Devi also adopted one boy named Ramachandra and gave Diksha to all the three kids. Haribol. When the community came to know that these children took shelter of Srimati Jahanma Devi, gradually all Vaishnavas started taking the shelter of Jahanma Devi. Gradually she had disciples as a brahmachari, householder, and from all different sections. Also we remember Narottam Das Thakur when he separated from Shyamananda Pandit, when the bullock cart was filled with the scripture of the six Goswamis, bringing from Vrindavan to Bengal. It was lost. And then Narottam Das Thakur was advised to go to his own birthplace, Kheturi. And we see that he inaugurated a wonderful festival where Janvi Mata was also there. So in the Kheturi festival of Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Jahanma Devi was invited as Acharya of the festival. She had such an influence that many Vaishnavas from different villages joined her. There were the base kitchen, housing, and all other departments. There the main delight was the divine presence of Jahanma Devi. Deep respect was given to all Vaishnavas, and Sankirtan was going on whole time. And when the festival ended, the devotees could not handle it. And Narottam Das asked all of them to chant loudly the Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the next day during the holy festival, Srimati Jahanma Devi personally served and cooked for everyone. After then she left for Vrindavan, and everyone glorified her on the way. This is the beauty, that they see something, they always absorb talking about those personalities. So their mind remained fixed onto those personalities. Chandi Devi, worshipper, got envious of Jahanvi Mataji. And in the night, they prayed to Chandi Devi to kill Jahanva Devi. And in their dream appeared, Chandi Devi was saying, "You want to kill the supreme goddess whom I worship?" With a sword in hand, she warned those people and asked them, "Go tomorrow and fell at the feet of Jahanvi Devi and beg for forgiveness. Then only I will forgive you, or else tomorrow all of you will be killed." And the next day all the people went and begged for the forgiveness. So after few days on the river bank, some robbers wanted to rob all the wealth of Jahanvi Devi and her associates. So at midnight they could see Jahanvi Devi sitting and started running toward her. The whole night they kept on running but could not reach her. So in the morning they realized that this was goddesses who had arrived here and begged for forgiveness from her. It's good that they realize. Jahanvi Devi aimed to take all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Even though all those robbers became Vaishnavas and started preaching, she was the goddess of supreme mercy. Then Janvi Mataji went to meet all the Goswamis. She went to all the forest of Vrindavan where Krishna and Balram played. And when she went to Ekachakra, she thought that this is why she didn't get the love of her in-laws. She was lamenting so much that her in-laws appeared in front of her along with her beloved Nityanand Prabhu and embraced her. She saw all the childhood places of Nityanand Prabhu and was overjoyed with emotions. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to wind up his worldly pastimes, he entered in the body of the Tota Gopinath in Jagannath Puri. Similarly, Janma Devi, in her final pastime, entered into the deity of Ananga Manjari in Sisi Radha Gopinath temple, because that's who she was. So she entered into the eternal pastimes. And we can dwell into the life of Sita Mataji, Lord Ramchandra consort. So today they call also Sita Navami, the appearance day of Srimati Sita Devi, the eternal consort of Lord Ramchandra. To begin, we shall read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 9, Lord Chaitanya's travel to the holy places. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityanand Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dakshina Mathura Ila, Kama Kosti Haite, Tahan Deka Haila Eka, Brahmana Sahite. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at the southern Mathura from Kamal Kosti, he met a Brahmana. A Brahmana who met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited the Lord to his home. And this Brahmana was a great devotee and an authority on Lord Sri Ramachandra. He was always detached from material activities. After bathing in the river Krutmala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Brahmana's house to take lunch. But he saw that the food was unprepared because the Brahmana had not cooked it. Seeing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear sir, please tell me why you have not cooked. It is already known." So what the Brahmana replied? He said, "My dear Lord, we are living in the forest. For the time being, we cannot get all the ingredients for cooking. When Lakshman bring all the vegetables, fruits and roots from the forest, Sita Devi will do the necessary cooking. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very satisfied to hear about the Brahmana's method of worship. And finally, the Brahmana hastily made arrangement for cooking. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his lunch at about 3 o'clock. But the Brahmana, being very sorrowful, fasted. While the Brahmana was fasting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, "Why are you fasting? Why are you so unhappy? Why are you so worried?" So the Brahmana replied, "I have no reason to live. I shall give up my life by entering either fire or water." My dear sir, Mother Sita is the mother of the universe and the supreme goddess of fortune. She has been touched by the demon Ravana, and I'm troubled upon hearing this news. Sir, due to my unhappiness, I cannot continue living. Although my body is burning, my life is not living. So hearing this wonderful narration, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "Please do not think this way any longer. You are a learned Pandit. Why don't you consider the case?" And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "Sita Devi, the dearmost wife of the Supreme Lord Ramchandra, certainly has a spiritual form full of bliss. No one can see her with material eyes, for no materialistic has such power. To say nothing of touching Mother Sita, a person with material senses cannot even see her. When Ravana kidnapped her, he kidnapped only her material, illusory form. So a lot of the misgiving can be cleared. But Krishna leave the room, or Lord Ramchandra leave the room for those atheists who doesn't want to believe. He satisfied them also. So as soon as Ravana arrived before Sita, she disappeared. Then just to cheat Ravana, she sent an illusory material form. Aprakruta vastu nahe prakata gochara Veda purnete ei kahe nirantara. Spiritual substance is never within the jurisdictions of the material conceptions. This is always the verdict of the Vedas and the Puranas. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada has write the purport. And Prabhupada says, as stated in the Katha Upanishad 2, 3, 9 through 12, Na sandrusheti stati rupam asya, na chaksusu pasyati kaschannai naim, ruda manisa manasabhikyukto ya etat vidur amrutaste bhavanti, naiva vachana manasa praptum sakyo na choksusa. Spirit is not within the jurisdictions of the material eyes, words, or the mind. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 Canto, chapter 84, verse 13 also states same. Yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhukati swadi kalatradisu bhoma ijyadi. Yat tirtha buddhi salile na karhi chij janisva abhinaysu shaeva go karaha. A human being who identified his body made of 3 elements with his self, who consider the byproduct of his body to be his kinsman, who consider the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath, rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge, there is to be considered like an ass or a cow. These are some Vedic statements about spiritual substance. Spiritual substance cannot be seen by the unintelligent because they do not have the eyes or mentality to see the spirit soul. Consequently, they think that there is no such thing as spirit. But the follower of the Vedic injunctions take their information from Vedic statements, such as the verses from the Katha Upanishad and Srimad Bhagavatam quoted above. See, we know from Srila Prabhupada, from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punah Suddha Nitya Mukto Bhinnavatvam Namnamino. Nama Chintamani Krishna is the holy name of Krishna, is Krishna himself. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, it is the form of Ras, the reservoir of pleasure. It is Purna, complete, Shuddha, pure, and Nitya Mukta, always free from material contamination. Why? Because there is no difference between the holy name of Krishna and the possessors of the name Krishna himself. Abhinatvam Namnamino. Now the question arises that when the Lord is spiritual and beyond the jurisdictions of material senses, how can one with materially covered senses touch or chant and hear the holy name of Krishna? So in the next verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explained, and he said, Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grahyam Indriya Shrevan Mukhehi Jihvadu Swayam Eva Spurti Adaha. Ataha means therefore, as in Athato Brahma Jignasa, Ataha, therefore, that is because the holy name of Krishna is completely spiritual like Krishna. One cannot chant or hear the holy name, touch the holy name with materially contaminated senses. So right now we are chanting or hearing is not the pure holy name until we have purified all the dirt that's sitting within the core of our hearts. However, if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, and the Lord becomes pleased, not that just by serving, the Lord must become pleased with our service, then the Lord will reveal to us. This is the secret of making advancement in spiritual life. In other words, although we cannot pursue the Lord with materially contaminated senses, the Lord can reveal himself to us when he is pleased by our devotional service. And he can purify our senses and make himself visible to us. You know, both great devotees, we see the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj was also touched by the Kamsa, by the Vishnu. Then and then he became enlightened and he was able to offer wonderful prayer. Same thing with Prahlad. You know, the Narsingadev touch his head, give him the blessing so he can understand. So many things we have seen like that, that without the blessings, we have no way of knowing them. So when even a sadhaka, a devotee who is practicing devotional service, cannot touch even the holy name of the Lord, how could a demon like Ravana see or touch Mother Sita? who is directly the spiritual energy of the Lord. It is not possible. But you need to know this truth then and then. And also you should have faith in the words of the Shastras and the words of those personality who carry the love of Krishna in their heart. Otherwise you will get baffled with so many arguments and so many things that they will produce, and we get bewildered. Prabhu, can you clarify this? I heard this. Never heard those things, then it will create all the trouble. Just stay in association with the Vaishnavas and make your life successful. What Ravana saw and touched was not the original Sita, but Maya Devi, an illusory representation of the original Sita. Thus Lord Chaitanya was consoling the Brahmana. They don't lament that Mother Sita has been touched by the demon Ravana. The demon Ravana could not even see her. What to speak of touching her? There is no need for lamentations. विश्वास करह तुम्ही हमारा वचने, विश्वास करह तुम्ही हमारा वचने, पुनर्पिपु भवन ना करिह मने. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then assured the Brahmanas, have faith in my words and do not burden your mind any longer with this misconception. Mind gives so many things, particularly to the Indian bodies, because we have heard so many different philosophies from Mayavadi, and those things will keep on bothering until they will come that you don't want to hear those things and accept whatever Vaishnava literature and Vaishnava Acharya says about it. Don't question it. Haribol. This is the process of spiritual understanding. Achintya khalu ye bhava na tam starkena yojayat. Why should not try to understand things beyond our material conception by argument and counter-argument? There is no way you will be able to understand Krishna by this tiny little corrupted mind. Mahajano yena gataha shapantaha. We have to follow in the footsteps of the great authorities coming down in the parampara system. And he approach a bona fide acharya and keep faith in his words. Spiritual realization will be easy. Otherwise, we have so many questions. So, in this material world, 7:25, we have time up to 8 o'clock. In the material world, everyone is acting independently. Actually, people are not independent, but they imagine themselves to be independent. They want to think for themselves, see for themselves, make their own decisions, make their own plans. Even when they came to the subject of God, they keep the same attitude. I don't need anyone to tell me about God. I can think for myself. I can decide for myself. And if I don't get convinced by your explanation, I'm not going to believe. What a faith in the tiny brain. Or they may accept some authority according to their liking. Somebody will say, it says that the cheater will always find the cheated guru. If you want to get cheated, Krishna will find you a guru. Wonderful guru that will cheat you like anything. So, Krishna is sitting in our heart. He reads our desire, what we want to achieve, and he will fulfill those desires. Always. So people goes to different authorities and pick and choose what they like from each. And in the end, they find confirmation of whatever they thought or wanted to begin with. They can't accept if somebody says something different than what they are thinking. And because we are in illusion, we are totally thinking 100% wrong. So how is it possible that we will be able to hear from this authority? Always will question will come. That is not the way to understand God. Rather, one approach a bona fide spiritual master and surrender. Surrender means no wavering to this side or that side. Stick with your practice. One must remain fixed in submission and obedience to the spiritual master and accept the spiritual master instructions without any argument. Of course, the whole process is based on faith, and therefore, Lord Chaitanya's first words are Vishwas karaha tumi amara vachane. Have faith in my words. And if you will do it, he says, you will be relieved. But if you don't have faith in these words, you will go on suffering and nobody will be able to help you. Vishwasa karaha tumi amara vachane punharapi ubhavana na kariha mane. Prabhura vachane vipreraha ila vishwas bhojana karila haila jivanera as. Although the Brahmana was fasting, he had faith in the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accepted food. In this way, his life was saved. So the Brahmana was fasting because he thought Ravana has touched Sita and kidnapped her. And he was ready to give up his life. But because he had faith in the words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave up his misconceptions, took prasad, and he actually saved his life. Tandre avasvesya Prabhu karila gamana krita malaya snana kari aila durvashana. After thus assuring the Brahmana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proceeded further into southern India and finally arrived at Durvashana, where he bathed in the river Krutmala. Setu bandhe asi kaila dhanus tirthe snan Rameswara dekhi tahan karila vishram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Setu Bandh, Rameswar, where he took his bath at the place called Dhanus Tirth. From there, he visited the Rameswar temple and then took rest. So the path from Mandapam through the ocean to the island known as Pambam consists partly of sand and partly of water. The island of Pambam is about 17 miles long and 6 miles wide. On this island, 4 miles north of Pambam harbor is Setu Bandh, where the temple of Rameswar is located. This is a temple of Lord Shiva, and the name Rameswar indicates that he is a great personality whose worshipable deity is Lord Ramachandra. Thus, the Lord Shiva, found in the temple of Rameswar, is a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. It is said, Devi Pattanam Arabhya Gacchityu Setu Bandhanam, after visiting the temple of goddess Durga, one should go to the temple of Rameswar. So in this area there are 24 different holy places, one of which is Dhanus Tirth, located about 12 miles southeast of Rameswar. It is near the last station of the South Indian Railway, a station called Ramnad, And it is said that here, on the request of Ravana's younger brother Vibhisana, Lord Ramchandra destroyed the bridge to Lanka with his bow while returning to his capital. And it is also said that one who visits Dhanustev is liberated from the cycle of birth and death, and that one who bathes there gets all the fruitive results of performing the yajna known as Agnistoma. So it is said that when Lord Rama was on the way to Lanka, he worshipped a deity of Lord Shiva. Some ignorant people say, listen carefully, because Lord Rama worshipped Lord Shiva, Shiva is the supreme and Rama is the subordinate to him. This is the misconception. But actually, the opposite is true. Lord Shiva himself is a great devotee of Lord Ram. Sometimes, however, the Lord likes to serve his devotees, as we see in Vrindavan. Krishna never claimed to be a supreme Lord. And then people take it granted as an ordinary person. However, sometimes the Lord likes to serve his devotees, as in the case of Krishna and Yasoda. Krishna used to obey the dictation of Yasoda, but that doesn't mean that Yasoda is God. Krishna used to carry the shoes of Nanda Maharaj, but that doesn't mean that Nanda Maharaj is God. Krishna drove the chariot of Arjuna, but that doesn't mean that Arjuna is greater than Krishna. Krishna even washed the feet of Sudama Vipra, but that doesn't mean that Sudama is superior to Krishna. So in reality, Lord really takes pleasure in worshipping his devotees. That's the mood he exhibits. And Lord Ramchandra wanted to glorify his devotee Shiva, and therefore he may have worshipped him. Hope that this thought will sink. Other ignorant people say that because Ravana was a devotee of Lord Shiva, Rama approached Lord Shiva to ask his permission before killing Ravana. Once at Juhu beach, a disciple mentioned this idea to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada replied that people who say that Lord Ram had Lord Shiva's permission to kill Ravana want to say that Lord Shiva is a rascal, that he would give permission for someone to kill his devotee. Oh yes, he is my devotee, but it's all right, you can kill him. So Prabhupada said that they want to prove that Lord Shiva is a rascal. Rather, Srila Prabhupada said and quoted Shastra, then when Ram was in the process of killing Ravana, Mother Parvati said to Lord Shiva, what did she say? Ravana is your great devotee, and now he is in trouble. Why don't you do something to help him? And what does Lord Shiva replied to? Lord Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead. When he wants to kill Ravana, what can I do? Haribol. Vipra sabhagyat sune tanha kurma puran tara madhya aila pativrata ukyanam. There among the Brahmanas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to the Kurma Puran, where it is mentioned the chaste woman's narration. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarked that only 2 khandas of the Kurma Purana are now available. Sometimes it is said that the Kurma Purana contains 6,000 verses, but according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the original Kurma Purana contains 17,000 verses. It is considered the 15th of the 18th Mahapuranas. पतिव्रता शिरोमणि जनक आनंदिनी जगतेरा मत सीता रामेर अग्रहिणी. Srimati Sita Devi is the mother of the three worlds and the wife of Lord Ramchandra. Among chaste women, she is supreme and she is the daughter of King Janata. Ravana dekhiya Sita Laila Angira Saram. Ravana haite Agni Kaila Sikate Avran. When Ravan came to kidnap Mother Sita and she saw him, she took shelter of the fire god Agni, and the fire god covered the body of Mother Sita, and in this way she was protected from the hands of Ravana. Maya Siti Ravana Nila Sunila Akyayane Suni Mahaprabhu Haila Anandita Mane. Upon hearing from the Kurma Purana how Ravana had kidnapped a false form of Mother Sita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very satisfied. Sita Lana Rakhi Lena Parvati Rastane Maya Sita Diya Agni Vanchila Ravane. The fire god Agni took away the real Sita and brought her to the place of Parvati, goddess of Durga. An illusory form of Mother Sita was then delivered to Ravana, and in this way Ravana was cheated. Raghunatha Asi Yabe Ravane Marila Agni Pariksha Dite Yabe Sitare Anila. After Ravan was killed by Lord Ramchandra, Sita Devi was brought before the fire and tasted. Tabe Maya Sita Agni Kari Antardhana Satya Sita Ani Dela Rama Vidyamana. When the illusory Sita was brought before the fire by Lord Ramchandra, the fire god made the illusory form disappear and delivered the real Sita to Lord Ramchandra. Sunina Prabhura Anandita Haila Mana Ramadasa Viprera Katha Haila Smarana. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this story, he was very, very pleased, and he remembered the words of Ramadas Vipra. E Sabha Siddhanta Suni Prabhura Ananda Haila Brahmanera Sthane Magi Sei Patra Nila. Indeed, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this conclusive statement from the Kurma Purana, he felt great happiness. After asking the Brahmana's permission, he took possession of the manuscript leaves of the Kurma Purana. Nutana Patra Lekhana Pustake Deyo Ila Pratiti Lagi Purantana Patra Magi Nila. Since the Kurma Purana was very old, the manuscript was also very old, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took possession of the original leaves in order to have direct evidence. The text was copied onto new leaves in order the Purana be replaced. Patra Lana Punaha Dakshina Mathura Aila Ramadasa Vipresai Patra Anidila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to southern Madurai, and delivered the original manuscript of the Kurma Purana to Ramdas Vipra. Sita Yadityo Vahisnis Chaya Sitam Agnanat Tam Jahara Dasa Griva Sita Vahnipuram Gata Pariksha Samaya Vahinin Chaya Sita Vivesasa Vahni Sitam Samaniya Tat Purustat Aninyanat. When he was petitioned by Mother Sita, the fire god Agni brought forth an illusory form of Sita, and Ravan, who had 10 heads, kidnapped the false Sita. The original Sita then went to the abode of the fire god, and when Lord Ramchandra tasted the body of the Sita, it was the false illusory Sita that entered the fire, and at that time the fire god brought the original Sita from his abode and delivered her to Lord Ramchandra. So these two verses are taken from the Kurma Purana. Patrapana viprera haila anandita mana prabhura charane dhari karaya krandana. Ramdas Vipra was very pleased to receive this original lived manuscript of the Kurma Purana, and he immediately fell down before the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he began to cry. After receiving the manuscript, the Brahmana, being very pleased, said, "Sir, you are Lord Ramchandra himself and have come in the dress of a sannyasi to give me audience. My dear sir, you have delivered me from a very unhappy condition. I request that you take your lunch at my place and please accept these invitations. Due to my mental distress, I could not give you a very nice lunch the other day. Now, by good fortune, you have come again to my home." Saying this, the Brahmana very happily cooked the food, and a first-class dinner was offered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that night in the house of a Brahmana, and then after showing him mercy, the Lord started toward the Tamraphani river in Pandya Desh. The chastity of Mother Sita is glorified in similar terms in the summary of the pastime of Lord Ramchandra in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Ravana had been crushed by the anger of Mother Sita, his armies were vanquished and ultimately he was killed. Angada and the other commanders of the soldiers of Ramchandra faced the elephants, infantry, horses and chariots of the enemy and hurried against them big trees, mountain peaks, clubs and arrows. Thus the soldiers of Lord Ramchandra killed Ravana's soldiers who had lost all good fortune because Ravana had been condemned by the anger of Mother Sita. Stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 10, 20. So after Ravana had been killed, his wife Mandodari praised the power of Mother Sita's chastity, addressing her husband as follows: Navai Veda Mahabhaga Bhavan Kama Vasam Gataha Tejonu Bhavam Sitaya Yeno Nita Dasam Imam. O greatly fortunate one, you came under the influence of lusty desire, and therefore you could not understand the influence of Mother Sita. Now, because of her curse, you have been reduced to this state, having been killed by Lord Ramchandra. And his purport to this verse, Prabhupada explained that any woman who follow the example of Mother Sita's chastity and service can attain similar power, and that in fact woman should follow her ideal example. I always, when I see some girls reach to the teenage, I just advise, give them just one advice: maintain your chastity. That's all it's required for the woman. It's stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that if the woman, until they get married officially, so that's why I advise even that when you become even engaged, tell your future husband not to mess with your body until you officially get married. And if you do that, any girl, they don't have to worry about anything. There is no scarcity in the life. But where is the chastity? That's the problem. So we should teach our, children to make themselves so powerful, and then we can see if the girls are that pure, how the dynasty come through her will be so much pure. The whole progeny will be so wonderful. And then this world will become again wonderful. So, any woman who follow in the footsteps of Mother Sita can also become similarly powerful. Nobody would be able to defeat them. Haribol. There are many instances of this in the history of Vedic literature. Whenever we find a description of ideal chaste woman, Mother Sita is among them. Mandodari, the wife of Ramana, was also very chaste. Similarly, Draupadi was one of the 5 exalted chaste women. As a man must follow great personalities like Brahma and Narada, a woman must follow the path of such ideal women as Sita, Mandodari, and Draupadi. By staying chaste and faithful to her husband, a woman enriched herself with supernatural power. Haribol. So although Mother Sita was completely pure and chaste, some ignorant citizen criticized Lord Ram for accepting her back after she had been abducted by Ramana. And to preserve his authority as king for the benefit of the citizen, he was obliged to consign her to the care of the great sage Valmiki Muni. What these, non-believers can create the trouble to those purest devotees or the purest goddesses. How fallen we have become. And by her transcendental qualities and devotional service, Sita Devi attracted her husband, Lord Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. And after she completed her pastime on earth, he remained absorbed in thought of her while perfectly executing his royal duties until he followed her to continue their eternal lila in the spiritual world. Muno Nikshipya Tanayo Sita Bhartra Vivasita Dhyayanti Ramacharano Vivaram Pravivisaha. Being forsaken by her husband, Sita Devi entrusted her 2 sons to the care of Valmiki Muni. Then meditating upon the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra, she entered into the earth. Srimad Bhagavatam, Lail 11:15. Tachutva Bhagwan Ramo Rundham api dhiya suchaha Smaram stasya gunam stamstan Naksnod rudum Iswaraha. After hearing the news of Mother Sita's entering the earth, the Supreme Personality Godhead was certainly aggrieved. Just think what we have done by blaming this such a nonsense. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, upon remembering the exalted qualities of Mother Sita, he could not check his grief in transcendental love. Of course, the Lord's grief upon hearing the news of Sita Devi's entering the earth was not material. In the spiritual world, there are also feelings of separation. But such feelings are a manifestation of the Lord's internal pleasure, potency, Ladini Sakti, and give rise to the transcendental bliss, although they resemble the miserable feelings experienced by ordinary men and women who are materially attached to each other. Tata urdhavam brahmacharyam dharayam ajuhot prabhuha troyodas sabda sahasram agnihotram akhanditam. After Mother Sita entered the earth, Lord Ramchandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yagna for 13,000 years. Srimad Bhagavatam confirmed in 9:11:18. Smartam Rudi Vinasya Vidham Dandaka Kantakai Swapada Pallavam Rama Atma Jyotir Agattataha. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Ramchandra, whose lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns when he lived in Dandakaranya forest, placed those lotus feet in the hearts of those who always think of him. Then he entered his own abode, the Vaikuntha planet beyond the Brahmajyoti. So there is a place, Ayodhya, in the upper skirt of the Vaikuntha planet. And from there it comes Dwarka, then Mathura, and then Vrindavan. So Sita Ram ki jai. And there is, I think, an important lesson for all of us here. Whether we are in the bodies of a man or woman, Sita Devi is the energy of Lord Ram, the property of Lord Ram. And to take the property of the Lord for one's sense gratification is demoniac. Ravana was a scholar, a devotee of Lord Shiva, and he had many, many good qualities. But he had one fault that put him in the category of the demons, that he wanted to take the Lord's property and enjoy it for himself. As we have been discussing and maybe realizing, people in Kali Yuga have two sides, the devotee side and the demon side. The demon side wants to take the property of the Lord and enjoy it, like Ravana. So we must be very, very careful that the demoniac side does not become prominent. Otherwise, just as Ravana and his whole dynasty were destroyed, our spiritual life will also be destroyed. So what is the difference between material and spiritual? We should ask. That when people challenge us, you are living in a marble palace. You are using telephones, computers, and automobiles. So you are involved in materialism. How do we reply? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he where even the shoes made of leather, we said we should never touch the leather. He did. He drove in the Rolls Royce. These are the personality we need to understand. So we are using everything in the service of the Lord, but make sure that on the pretending of the service of Krishna, we should not have a tinge of desire to enjoy, which is very, very difficult, extremely difficult, until we have been blessed by those spiritual personality who carry the love, pure love in their heart. So the temple is spiritual because it is dedicated to the service of the Lord. And all the even paraphernalia used in the Lord's service is spiritual. So there is no contamination. But the word used, however, if we use the paraphernalia meant for the service of the Lord for our own sense gratification, then it is no longer spiritual. It becomes Maya. Raman wanted to take Ram Sita, but he couldn't touch the original Sita. He could get only the Maya Sita. Similarly, the Lord's paraphernalia is spiritual when engaged in the Lord's service. But if we try to use the same thing for our sense gratification, they become Maya. So we should not be complacent and assume that I'm a devotee and everything I do is spiritual. Give up this false understanding. Even if I handle money, it is spiritual because it's for Krishna. If it is for Krishna, definitely it is spiritual, Lakshmi. But if it used for our own sense gratification, that we use 90% or more, it becomes material. And that's the reason we are suffering, because we have accepted Maya Devi in our life. So we must be careful in every situation, in every activity, every transactions, to consider I'm doing this for Krishna or for sense gratification. Before you do anything, ask these questions, and you will see how fallen we are, and still we keep some pride. I'm a great person. What is the false conceptions? This is really the illusion that we carry in our life. You know, every transaction we have to consider what we are doing, for whom we are doing. All the things we have, all the paraphernalia which are meant for Krishna's service, become Maya if we will use for our own gratification. So we should be very, very careful, especially if we take donations from the public. In the temple, we take donations from the public, directly or indirectly. And even if we don't directly take donations, we are still using donation for our service. So we should take care that the donation we take from the public are used exclusively in transcendental devotional service, and not 1 cent is used for the sense gratification. And if you use any of it for sense gratification, we are implicated in a cheating process, because the public think that they are giving the money for Krishna's service, but in fact we are using for ourselves. So we have to, as a manager, that's the reason in my presidency for 28 years, I never opened the donation box. And I give it to Bharat Bhai, who was the accountant. He count the money, he take to the bank, he deposit, he write the checks. Did I receive the money in my hand? Definitely. I was the president. Can I carry the donation receipt book? Definitely. Did I issue any donation receipt just from me? No. I always give the money. Like when I build a temple, the Leva Patidar Samaj, they raise about $280,000. And out of that, the $120,000 was cash. And I told them that please give me a list. Who has given by the check, who has given by the cash, so we can have a perfect accounting. And I turned that money to our accountant, that please issue the receipt if you have received all this money. Can I stop streaming? Haribol. No, that's fine, I guess, because I have never, I have always felt, even I use my car for the gasoline, I have never present the bill to get the gas bill money. What can I say? So, Srila Prabhupada says that if we take money in the name of Krishna's service and then use it for sense gratification, we become debaters to the people who give us the money. In other words, we are supposed to be only peons, carrying the money from the donor to the Lord, like Hanuman. He wanted to liberate Sita from Ravan, not to keep her for himself, but to deliver her to Lord Ramchandra. That's what the duty of the devotee is. So we should be like Hanuman. We should liberate Sita from the hands of whoever, deliver her to Ram. We are not meant to touch her. And if we do, we will have to come back in another life and pay for our debt. to the people from who took the money. So these are subtle laws, and Srila Prabhupada was concerned that we should not become victims of our desire for sense gratification. So when you have the position, make sure that you don't use it for your own gratification. Otherwise, serious consequences is there. Don't think putting the tilak and wearing kurta and dhoti will save you from this thing. Therefore, Prabhupada explained everything very clearly so that we can be conscious and use the Lord's property only for the Lord's service. Then we will be like a Hanuman, the great devotee who got the mercy of the Lord Ram. But if we try to use the Lord's property for our own satisfaction, we will become like a Ravana and will be destroyed. So on this special occasion, we pray to Mother Sita Devi to bless us to become pure-hearted servant like Hanuman, Lakshman, and Mother Sita herself, and to save us whatever Rama-like demoniac tendency we have. Let them be vanquished by her mercy, by her will, so we may continue on our devotional service without any impediment and ultimately attain pure loves of Krishna. That's our ultimate goal. So with those thoughts, sorry that we ran like a 3 minutes late, but it was so profound that I thought that we should dwell more and more on this type of topic. Because Prabhupada says those principles, purity is the force. If we don't have purity, how can we? Like I can tell you, my personal, now you can don't record this